the birth of Suplex City at SummerSlam 2014. So how about today we have the birth of Blue Chew City, the chewable tablet that helps you have better sex. For more information, check out the link in the description box below. But now let's get to SummerSlam 2014. All right, so there's quite a bit to get into. First of all, this SummerSlam was the first one on the WWE Network for $9.99. I hope you said that with me. And on top of that, it was the last one in Los Angeles. After this, we would be moving on to Brooklyn, and we'll be talking about those shows in upcoming videos. So let's go ahead and get into these highlights. I might as well kick off this video today with the match that closed out the show. And the match that closed out the show was Brock Lesnar defeating John Cena for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. So first of all, at this point, Brock Lesnar had just defeated The Undertaker at WrestleMania and ended The Undertaker's streak. John Cena is bulletproof. So here was literally just Brock being presented as an unstoppable beast, an unstoppable monster, however you want to say it. And so during this match, we had the birth of Suplex City. This whole match, we see Brock Lesnar suplex John Cena so freaking much. As a total, he suplexed him 16 times, guys. 16 times. But this was a really fun match, though. I really did enjoy it because in the very beginning, like from the very beginning, you see Lesnar hit John Cena with an F5, and within like just a few couple of seconds into the match, and people flipped out because they thought like the match was going to be over from then on, but then he didn't. We're literally seeing a bunch of suplexes, 16 as I mentioned. And the funny part about this too, while I was watching this match, is Brock Lesnar is sweating like so freaking much, like bullets, guys, bullets of sweat. And it's so funny because John Cena's like perfectly dry because he's just taking a bunch of suplexes and Brock Lesnar is hitting all of them. After all the 16 suplexes, he hits an F5 and Brock Lesnar wins this match. And the best part about this too was all of the crowd reactions. Everybody was like, what the? Everybody was so in shock that Brock Lesnar had won this match. And it had been 10 years since he was last a WWE champion. At that time, they didn't really want to say he was a part-timer, or they didn't really want to put the belt on a part-timer at that time. Obviously, as we know, things have changed. But also the thing that changed that I noticed too after this match was the way that Brock laid out his matches. I feel like after this match, it really just became a bunch of different versions of this match where all he did was really hit the Suplex City. And it kind of changed the format of the matches like the ones he had been having prior. The next highlight that I want to get into is the Roman Reigns Randy Orton match. So the reason I want to talk about this one next is that it's so crazy because I think sometimes we forget where Roman Reigns was at, 10 years ago. Like we're talking about SummerSlam 2014 right now. And God, when you think about what a big star Roman Reigns is now, how we're getting "We Want Roman" chants, and he headlined WrestleMania and all of these things that he's done, and we love him and all of this, right? Like it wasn't always like that. And I remember like not being a Roman Reigns fan. I remember being that person that would be like, boo, Roman Reigns. And it's funny because like when you go back and you watch like some of his old stuff, it's so crazy to see like hardly no crowd reaction. Like during this match here with Roman and Randy, like when he came out and, he was still doing the Shield entrance, he came out and he was just like not getting like these reactions and whatnot. I also had forgotten that they used to make him wear the blue contacts. I had kind of forgotten about that. But anyways, here at this time though, Roman was being groomed to be the guy to replace John Cena. And again, the crowd just really wasn't responding to him. And the cool thing about this is that this was sort of like the Randy Orton test. So if you notice, like so many guys in wrestling, like they've all had to take the Randy Orton test to see like if you can have a good match with Randy Orton, and if Randy Orton liked working with you, then it was like you passed the test and we can continue your push. If you didn't have a good match with Randy Orton or he didn't like working with you, you were done. But really, Roman Reigns hadn't found himself as a singles wrestler just yet. But this match was okay. Roman hits a spear on Randy and gets the win within a 16-minute match. And yeah, it's just crazy to be reminded of the days when no one really cared about Roman Reigns, especially not the way that they do right now. Alrighty, and the next match that I want to get into is kind of a silly one, but hey, this was Stephanie McMahon defeating Brie Bella. So there's kind of a lot in this. First of all, the story was super, super scandalous. Basically, Stephanie McMahon had told Brie that Daniel Bryan had an affair with her physical therapist, and then I guess afterwards it's learned that Stephanie actually paid the physical therapist to say that she had hanky panky an affair with Daniel Bryan. But at one point, like they literally arrest Brie, and it's so sad when Brie gets arrested because she's like so calm and so sweet, and she's just like, "What? Like I'm going to jail?" And it was actually really sad. But eventually, Stephanie gets arrested. I forget why she gets arrested. I think it was for lying or something, whatever. Stephanie gets arrested, and the whole point as to why they did this match was because Stephanie didn't want Brie to take her to court. So Brie told her, either take you to court or you wrestle me at SummerSlam. And so that's why we ended up getting the SummerSlam match. And at the contract signing, Triple H obviously was there helping out Stephanie. And so Stephanie pedigreed both Brie and Nikki. So finally, we get the actual matchup here, and let me put this picture up first. And the match is fine, like it is what it is, guys. I mean, it's a Stephanie McMahon match, okay, guys? Like, well, let's be real. Like, we're not going to be getting no 5-star match. It's fine. This was doable. This was more so about the story and the aftermath of this. This was also, I forgot to mention, Stephanie's second to last match ever, because her last match has been the one at WrestleMania when she teamed with Triple H to take on Kurt Angle and Ronda Rousey. But anyways, for better portion of this match, Stephanie has got the heat, like pretty much like the entire first portion of this match. When Brie starts getting the best of her, Triple H goes out there to help out, and so does Nikki. Nikki goes out there and she helps out. For a second, she seems like she's helping out Brie Bella. But in the end, what ends up happening is that we end up seeing Nikki turn on Brie, and she just like slaps the crap out of her. And so then this allowed for Stephanie to hit the pedigree on Brie, and that is how Stephanie McMahon wins this match, and that's when you get the turn of Nikki on Brie Bella. So that was like the big outcome of it, was mainly that now it was going to be Nikki versus Brie, and oh my god, how could she turn on her sister the way that she did? How awful. And this was fun to watch. It's like these storylines are sometimes like a little like hokey and shit. I mean, come on, like she was saying Daniel Bryan had an affair. Let's be real. Daniel Bryan, really? Come on now. So like the stories are super silly, but hey, this kind of worked for what it was. And I had a good time like going back and watching this because I was like, oh my God, how goofy, how stupid. I love it. Dolph Ziggler defeating The Miz for the Intercontinental Championship. This was the opener of the night, and the reason why I wanted to shout it out was because I thought it was actually a really good one. They had no slow pacing at all. They only had a few minutes. I don't even know how long this match was. It was under 8 minutes, and they really utilized each and every single minute, and Dolph wins the title with a zigzag, and previously he had kicked out of the skull crushing finale, so it was kind of like a cool little finish. And so yeah, shout out to that opening match. I wanted to make sure that I mentioned it. Alrighty, and the next highlight that I want to get into is Paige defeat AJ Lee for the WWE Divas Championship. And I thought this match was okay. I thought it was an okay match. I did love the ending because we saw AJ Lee lock her in a Black Widow and she countered it to a Rampage. So I kind of thought that that looked really, really cool. So that was really like the big standout moment for me. And the other match that I want to talk about quickly is Rusev versus Jack Swagger. And I remember how much people like to hate Rusev and Lana. And this was pretty hilarious because they put a whole ass picture of Putin on the screen, of Vladimir Putin on the screen. And so like Lana goes out there, she buries Hollywood, and she really reminded me of the girl from Rocky 4. So for that reason, like I remember being a fan of Lana at the time, and I almost feel like that may have been the best version of Lana that we've ever seen. But hey, there's been some like adorable versions of Lana. After Rusev wins this match, they end up singing the national anthem and they raise the flag and everything. So it's kind of fun. And another highlight of the show, I do want to talk about the lumberjack match. This was Seth Rollins versus Dean Ambrose, and this was actually kind of funny because Seth and Dean Ambrose are feuding, and it's honestly kind of a little weird for me now to even see John Moxley with hair BTW, but they end up fighting in the crowd. And the funny part about when they were fighting in the crowd is that the lumberjacks couldn't handle them, so the lumberjacks like literally were just hanging out at the ring. And it was so funny because commentary was like, these are the worst lumberjacks ever. And I'm like, yeah, they kind of are the worst lumberjacks ever. Like, these two guys are fighting out in the crowd. They just went through like 40 or 30 or however many lumberjacks are out there, and they just ran past them. Like, come on now, you guys suck. So Kane goes out there and he tries to straighten out the lumberjacks, and finally, this match returns into the ring. And this was fun. Like, they had some really cool moments. Like, the crowd was chanting, "This is awesome." When I did not remember this match being entertaining, honestly, I really did not remember this match at all. So when I was watching it, when I saw it on the card, I was like, ugh, a lumberjack match? I'll have to watch that. And I ended up enjoying it. I even thought that it was one of my favorite matches of the night. So shout out to them on this one. But yeah, also shout out to the really stupid lumberjacks that cracked me up. And Seth hits Ambrose with the briefcase and wins the match. Also, I'm not entirely too sure, but I think this was the first SummerSlam where I ever heard them mention Twitter on commentary. If they mentioned it before, I didn't notice, but this was the first SummerSlam where I noticed that commentary was like, "We're trending #1 on Twitter worldwide," and I was like, "Ah." That was like the first time I noticed it. Obviously they weren't saying that in 1988, but yeah, there you go. I don't know if I don't know if it was the first time. It was just the first time I noticed it. And last but not least, Bray versus Chris Jericho, another highlight of the show. I thought this was one of the best versions of Bray because it was really believable. Cult leader from the swamps. We see Bray creep out Chris Jericho in this, so that was kind of fun. But Jericho ends up hitting him with the code breaker. But Bray kicks out of that, and he ends up winning with the sister Abigail. It was a slow-paced match, but it was fine. And that was kind of about it. But it's funny because every time Bray would sing, he's got the whole world in his hands, it always reminded me of that really creepy scene from Con Air. If you guys have never seen Con Air, I recommend you guys watch Con Air. It's one of my favorite movies. So yeah, just a side note there. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the ratings for this show. Best match, I'm going to give it to John Cena versus Brock Lesnar. Worst match, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to give it to Brie and Stephanie, just because it wasn't like the best wrestling match on the card, and every other match really did something good. So unfortunately, I have to give it to them. Even though I like the story, I do have to give it to them. And as for MVP, I'm going to give it to Brock Lesnar for hitting 16 damn suplexes on John Cena and freaking sweating bullets while doing it all. And as for the rating of the show, this wasn't a terrible show. It wasn't a great show either. It was just there. So I'm going to give this one an 8 out of 13. Not too shabby. But that's a wrap for SummerSlam 2014, everybody. We are down to the last 10 years of SummerSlam history. So we are making our way there. This has been kind of a crazy journey because now I feel like I have every single SummerSlam memory embedded in this head. And who knows how long that's going to last. But hey, it's there right now. I have so many SummerSlam just memories in my mind. But anyways, last but not least, before we go, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to give some love over to our friends at Blue Chew. The link is in the description box below. And in the comments, please let me know what you guys thought of this video and SummerSlam 2014. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye, everyone.